Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am doing my 100-day challenge. I am now on day 27, I believe it is. And so I am so excited that you're here today. My name is Dayana and I actually help female entrepreneurs to be able to build sustainable businesses through building high-performing teams as well as automating their systems and processes. So let's get into it. So today I wanted to tell a special story, and this story is actually about how I hired a con artist one time. Obviously, it was on accident. I didn't go out of my way to hire a con artist, but it happened. And while it was very frustrating in the moment, looking back on it now, it's kind of comical a little bit. Obviously, I don't know, there's just like a lot to unpack there. But, anyways, let me tell you all a little bit about what happened. So, at this time, with the company that I was working with, we were in need of a communications assistant. And at that time, it was a part of a startup. It was kind of fight or flight mode. We just needed to do whatever we could to be able to build the sustainable business that we needed to build at that time. Okay. And so I would say overall, we had about 10 team members or so. So we weren't exceptionally huge, but we did have people within the organization. So she had peers and colleagues and whatnot. At this point in the organization, we were not doing background checks. We weren't doing references or anything of that nature. It was more so just, hey, if they put this on their resume, we were believing them. We held our interview and they got hired. So, to give a little bit of background on how this happened, during the interview process, everything was completely normal. Everything was just, just like any other candidate. She came in. She was actually early for her interview. There wasn't anything exceptional that really stood out that was like, oh, we need to have up our red flags. So she dressed really, really nicely, well polished, everything. Came in for the interview. We decided after we had like a phone interview with her and then we had an in-person interview, and we were like, okay, yeah, we want to move forward with you. We really like you, etc. Well, then let's fast forward to her getting hired. We hired her, did training. We didn't have like a whole onboarding process or anything at that time. We were fairly new, just getting into things. We had just started actually bringing on more people other than the people that we initially started with in the organization. So it was definitely a learning experience. But anyways, she joins the company first day, totally fine. She's well engaged. She's asking questions, etc. Well, day two comes in. She comes around and she's not really asking any more questions. She doesn't really seem like she's very engaged. And so we were like, okay, this is slightly different. We'll give her the benefit of the doubt. And then one of the other things was that she had a really, really bad BO. We did not smell that initially during the interview. So we don't quite know where that came from, but it ties into the story. So just wait for it. Okay, so fast forward a couple of days, and now we're still in the first week of her being with the team. She's like kind of doing her work, kind of not, taking excessive lunches, etc. Well, then one of the team members came in and said, hey, I saw so and so walking to work this morning. And I was like, oh, really? And she was like, yeah, she seemed to be walking, like she was pretty far away from the building and was a few streets down, but it looked like she was walking. And so I was like, okay, well, that's kind of strange, because we always ask, do you have reliable transportation? Because there's times when we might need you to come into the office. We might have different outings, things of that nature that we needed you to go to. So that was kind of a red flag, but I just let it go. I was like, maybe it's just a one-time thing, something of that nature. The next day comes, and actually 2 days pass, and then the same team member comes and she's like, hey, I saw so-and-so walking to work again. And I was like, are you sure? Are you sure it was her? And she was like, yeah. And then she like yelled at someone as she was crossing the street and flipped them off. And I was like, whoa, okay. All right. And granted, there is no judgment, because road rage is a thing. And like, hey, if she's about to get hit, I get it, because sometimes I get really frustrated too. But it was just kind of a red flag, because I was like, okay, this is the second time someone's seen her walking. They're sure it's her. And she did come in with a BO. So it just, it was starting to ring some alarm bells. Well, then one of my coworkers, who is super, super kind and has such a huge heart, asked her, like, hey, is everything okay? And the girl said, yes, she was just having a rough time. She was actually homeless, is what she told us. And so we were like, whoa, like, we didn't realize you were homeless. She put an address on her resume, so we kind of just assumed. Again, we didn't do background checks during this time. So there was no way for us to know all of these things. Keep going. She was with us for about 2 weeks. So fast forward to the final week that she was with us. The day before she was about to get let go, she said that she had a family emergency, that she'd have to leave, but she only booked a one-way ticket, so she wouldn't be able to get back. And some kind of way got one of my coworkers to give her $500. And again, that was just out of the goodness of her heart. She's just such a kind person. And she gave her $500 to be able to try to get her ticket back to Dallas. That way she can come back to work after the weekend finished. And long story short, we ended up letting her go. Well, we called her to let her go because she decided just not to come in one day. After my friend gave her the $500, it was radio silence. So we called her. Thankfully, she picked up. We told her she was no longer going to be with the company. Thankfully, she actually brought her laptop back. She was not supposed to take her laptop, but some kind of way, she continued to take her laptop home, or at least she took it home that specific day. And thankfully, she brought it back. Well, when she came back, this girl told us that she was homeless. She had on a fresh set of nails. Like, I mean, nails were completely done, like acrylics, all the things. And she was dressed extremely, extremely nicely. So it did not make sense. And so what ended up happening was she does this where she works at companies for about 2 weeks, long enough to get a paycheck, and then she just dips out. And so when we went back to look at her address was of an apartment complex, but she didn't put the apartment number. We reached out to them because we were just trying to figure out, like, what in the world was going on. Obviously, they couldn't give us the information on if she lived there or not, but from the way it looked, she did not. We called the previous companies that she had on her resume. She never worked there. They had never heard of her. We ended up trying to do a background check on her. She didn't exist. So she basically gave us all false information. We believed it. We let her into all of our things. We had to change all of our passwords. At that point, it was just such a huge weight on everyone that we allowed this person in. Like, at that point, you kind of feel violated. You feel like your space has been violated because you allowed this person into your organization. You felt like it was going to be a safe space. And it took me a while to kind of get out of the rut after the fact of hiring her, because I was like, wow, this was a really, really bad call to make. But again, we didn't have our systems in place. We didn't have those processes for onboarding to make sure that the right person was being hired for the right role. We didn't have a process for getting their driver's license and things. We said, okay, yeah, whenever you come on your first day, just bring your driver's license. Well, half the time they would forget. Or, I'm sorry, not your driver's license. You have to have 2 forms of ID, so your driver's license and birth certificate. Well, normally whatever the second piece is that they try to bring to verify their identity, sometimes they forget. And at that time, we were pretty lax. So we just said, okay, just bring it. Like, she kept forgetting. Okay, just bring it. Kept forgetting. And that's why, because she didn't exist, or at least she didn't exist under the name that she gave us. So she didn't have a birth certificate to match any of the information that she had. And once we realized that that's kind of how her process went, there was one job that she had and a very similar thing happened at that job. And so that's when we realized, like, wow, we hired a con artist. Like, that's just what they do. And it was so unfortunate. And I do wish her the best. And I hope that she gets it together. But, like, all in all, I would say it is so important for you to do your due diligence on team members. So all in all, call their references, look them up on social media. Make sure that you do your background and your due diligence on the individual, because you want to make sure that you're bringing in someone who's going to be trustworthy to your organization. So Hope that you found this helpful. It's definitely not one of my proudest moments, but hey, we all live, we all learn, and I'm glad that I can help to bring this information to you so that hopefully you don't make the same mistakes. So if you enjoy this content, please subscribe to my channel. I'll be dropping gems every single day for the next 100 days, and I will see y'all tomorrow.